I know. What is Delta 8? I still don't know what it is, but I do feel like if dope's right here, it must be right up under dope. And they may be sprinkled with LSD, maybe. She said, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to take one a night, and you got to be consistent over time with it. And I was like, okay. It scared me to death. And I got it in the car, and I thought, I better not drive fast. And I got it home, and Chuck Morgan was there. And I didn't tell him what I had done. And I went, hey. I got it and took it back and put it in my closet. And I waited until nightfall. And I was scared to death. I took a nibble off of one. Just a nibble. I didn't even take a whole one, just a nibble. And I don't know if this was in my head, but 20 minutes later, my heart was beating out of my body. And I thought, oh my Lord, I'm in AFib. I'm in AFib. And I need to go to the emergency room right now. But I thought, I didn't tell Chuck Morgan what I'd done. And he's not going to know what to tell the doctor. Everything went through my head. Then I started thinking, the police are coming. The police are coming. I sat up until 2 a.m. monitoring my own heart rate. I eventually fell off to sleep, but it wasn't a good sleep. I wallered in the bed. And for all the people in the United States, wallering means I wallered in the bed. And I just wallered. I wallered all night in the bed and dreamed horrible things. I dreamed that me and John Wayne fought Ricardo Montalban on horseback all night. I've never taken another one of those gummies, but I didn't throw them away. They're in my closet. I don't make eye contact with them. I just walk by them. The second weekend we were in California, we went to Brea, which is beautiful too, and beautiful, sweet, precious people there too. And that was going to be the weekend that my baby child turned 25. And her daddy called me and said, I want to be with y'all. I'm going to buy a plane ticket and I'm coming out there. So I called my travel agent and I said, you better get another room. Because their daddy misses me. I don't know what it is about Chuck Morgan in a hotel room. But he gets in a hotel room, gets a glazed look over his eyes. And I feel like I'm doing this. And the reason why I had to get another hotel room is because this baby and I have been touring together. She's with me all the time. I've done 150 dates with her. And their daddy does not want me to spend money. And so we've had to share a room. So we've been butt to butt in a king-size bed everywhere we go. And all of my married life, Chuck Morgan has told me not to spend money and that we were going to lose everything. He's tried to scare me. And he's been in my ear. I can hear him saying, you better eat that free continental breakfast. Don't you dare go to Panera. But okay, so Chuck Morgan buys a really cheap airline ticket. He had to get up in the middle of the night and connect all over the United States of America. He finally gets there, and he is worn to a frazzle. And Chuck Morgan doesn't nap, but he napped on and off that day and watched Tennessee play basketball in the hotel room. And then I went to a club and worked 2 shows, and I was supposed to be thinking about new material, and all I could think of the whole time I was up there was, he's going to get a lot of rest. And I'm going to have to do unspeakable things all night so my baby will have a good birthday. I hate to even say that. If there's young girls in here that are 20 and 30, I hate to say that to y'all. But I want to be honest. I don't want to blow smoke up y'all's butthole. And I'm not saying y'all have to, but I have prostituted myself to Chuck Morgan. For over 34 years now. So my children would have good shoes. And Chuck's in the back tonight. He would love to come out here and say to y'all right now, uh-oh, y'all, Chuck Morgan's gonna get the big head. He would love to come out here right now and say to y'all, oh, don't worry, she hadn't been a good prostitute. That's what he'd say. Okay, y'all, when it was time to go out there, I thought I better take a notebook. I'm in my 50s. I can't think of my name. And I looked in my children's playroom. I'm still in the house I raised my children in. And I don't know if y'all got little girls, if they did this, but mine, when they were little, it didn't matter where we went, if it was Walgreens, Target, Walmart, wherever, they would say, I'm going to need a notebook. And it needs to be purple or pink, and it needs to have a heart on it. And then they would take it home and write one dramatic sentence in it, and then throw it away. Well, I've kept all those notebooks, and I found this little purple one with a heart on it, and my Maggie, my middle one, who is my most sensitive, had written a sweet note to her fourth grade teacher about how much she loved her and what she was going to buy her for Christmas. And that made me think of this. When I was a young mama, I always had a minivan. And Chuck Morgan was out making us a wonderful living, but he was gone traveling all over the United States. And I had these little children all close together, and everybody seems like they were always crying and whipping each other. And I would be white knuckling it, trying to get somebody to a soccer practice that they really didn't want to go to. And everybody would be crying and yelling, and that sensitive baby, that middle one, would ask me deep, deep questions all the time. For example, questions about the solar system. And finally one day I said, baby, I didn't pay attention in school. Is there anything you'd like to know about Young and the Restless? And let me tell y'all, she went through a phase where she was worried that who was going to get to go to heaven. She wants everybody to go to heaven. And I remember her asking me about people, and everybody would be yelling in the back seat and hungry and all that, and her little voice would say, Mommy, is Johnny Cash going to heaven? I remember that day, and I remember what I said. I said, yeah. Yes, Johnny Cash is going to heaven. He and June have been spreading the gospel with Billy Graham all over the United States. Yes, he'll be in heaven. Okay, and I got to thinking about this when I was, and all this was in my mind. I've got a daughter-in-law we are in love with her, and she is so smart and such a good mama, and I watch her talk to my grandbabies, and she makes sense. And it's just made me look back. And I think I said some crazy mess. But I was tired. So she was worried about who was going to heaven, and she asked me about J.Lo. And this was years ago, and I'm a huge J.Lo fan. And she said, Mommy, is J.Lo going to heaven? Just let me tell y'all, I was in a bad place, okay? I was in a bad place, and I think I'd gone up a size in my pants. And she asked me about J.Lo. She goes, is she going to heaven? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I think she needs to mature spiritually. And she's going through a lot of men right now. I said it. I remember saying it, and it was wrong. And I'm sorry. And I should have never said it. One reason I shouldn't have said it, I went through as many men as J.Lo ever thought about going through, honey. It was terrible. Terrible. The only difference was mine were not successful people. So real quick, let's just recap some of J.Lo's men. We don't have time for all of them, but remember that little first one, the backup dancer? Remember him? Chris? I think his name is Chris. What happened to him? Has anybody checked on him? And then she was with Ben Affleck the first time, and they could have eaten each other's lips off. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was too volatile. And then he married little Jennifer Garner. I know, and I've never met her, but she looks like she'd be precious, and she looks like she shops at the Loft, like everybody else. This was Jeannie, who's a good friend of mine, and I dropped my little children off that morning, and I came back that afternoon, and Jeannie saw me walk in, and she grabbed her chest and said, "Oh my gosh, Leanne, how are you walking? Do you need me to call somebody? Do you need to go to the hospital?" I said, "What are you talking about, Jeannie?" She said, "Maggie said you had surgery today. She's asked for prayer. We've been praying for you over the intercom all day." I said, "Jeannie, I got my IUD replaced." I want you boys in North Carolina to know, honey, that I was very fertile. I was very fertile, praise God. I was as fertile as a Napa Valley. And I think it's because I'm from farming people. We killed our own beef. And I've got thick ankles and I can work in the fields. But anyway, I had to get an IUD every 5 years because Chuck Morgan didn't get a vasectomy. But whatever, it's okay. Let me tell y'all that precious Christian school put me on a meal chain. They put me on a meal chain. And somebody brought me a meatloaf that afternoon. And it was a good one. And so my hope and prayer, and I mean this, my hope and prayer for all of y'all is that y'all have a good friend who'll make you a meatloaf and you get your IUD replaced. I know. But y'all, people ask me all the time,